Here are dialogues for different job interviews in various vocations, showing different types of exchanges you might expect. 1. Job interview for a software developer. Interviewer: Thank you for coming in today, Alex. Let's start with your background. Can you tell me about your experience with programming languages?
Of course.
I have around 5 years of experience in full-stack development, primarily using JavaScript, Python, and C++. I've also worked with frameworks like React and Django to create dynamic web applications. Excellent. Could you give an example of a project where you solved a complex technical challenge? Certainly. In my previous job, we encountered an issue with the application's long loading time. After debugging, I realized the problem was with redundant API calls. I created a caching mechanism and optimized the code, which reduced load time by 35%. Impressive. How do you typically approach debugging a new issue in code? I first isolate the problematic section by breaking it down into smaller parts. I then use logging to track errors and test different solutions, adjusting as I go. Finally, I review the documentation to make sure I'm implementing best practices. 2. Job interview for a marketing specialist. Welcome, Sophia. Let's dive right in. Can you tell me what made you interested in marketing? I've always enjoyed understanding consumer behavior and how strategic communication can influence decisions. I find marketing a great blend of creativity and analytics, and I love that balance. That's a great perspective. Could you share a campaign you managed and what made it successful? Sure. At my last job, I led a campaign for a new product launch. By focusing on social media influencers and targeted ads, we exceeded our conversion goals by 40%. The key was matching the influencers' followers with our target audience and using data to guide our ad spend. Impressive. How do you usually measure the success of a campaign? I look at various KPIs like conversion rates, engagement metrics, and ROI. I also rely on A/B testing to refine messaging and improve results over time. 3. Job interview for a financial analyst. Thanks for meeting with us, Daniel. Could you walk me through your experience with financial modeling? Certainly. At my previous company, I built financial models for projecting quarterly earnings and supported our budgeting process. I also created custom models to evaluate investment opportunities, considering factors like cash flow, risk, and ROI. Impressive. How do you ensure the accuracy of your financial models? I always validate the data sources first, double-check my formulas, and perform sensitivity analysis to test various scenarios. After that, I compare results with past trends to ensure the model is realistic. That's very thorough. How do you handle making recommendations when there's a high degree of uncertainty? I outline multiple scenarios with different risk levels. By presenting a range of possible outcomes, I give decision-makers the context they need to make informed choices. It also helps me be transparent about any assumptions involved. 4. Job interview for a graphic designer. Good to have you here, Maya. Could you tell us about your experience with design software? Absolutely. I'm proficient in Adobe Creative Suite, especially Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. I've also worked with digital platforms like Sketch and Figma for creating web designs and interfaces. Excellent. Could you describe a project where your creativity made a big impact? Sure. I was asked to design a new logo and brand identity for a startup. I created a minimalist yet vibrant design that helped distinguish them in the market, and they received a lot of positive feedback. It was rewarding to see how the new brand resonated with customers. Very nice. How do you incorporate feedback, especially if it conflicts with your design instincts? I always approach feedback as a chance to improve. If it's subjective, I ask questions to understand the client's perspective. But if the feedback challenges the design's functionality, I make adjustments to ensure the design is both appealing and effective. 5. Job interview for a human resources manager. Good to see you, Rachel. Tell me, what's your approach to managing employee relations? I focus on creating a healthy, open environment where employees feel safe sharing concerns. By holding regular check-ins and addressing issues as they arise, I help prevent conflicts from escalating. That's a great approach. Can you give an example of a challenging employee situation you handled? Certainly. I had an employee struggling with performance, and I suspected there was more to it. After a private conversation, they revealed personal challenges affecting their work. I coordinated with them to develop a support plan and saw a noticeable improvement over time. That's impressive. How do you balance advocating for employees while protecting the company's interests? I believe it's about creating a mutually respectful environment. I ensure both parties feel heard and work to find a compromise that meets the employee's needs without compromising company policies or goals.